What's going on, everybody? Steve here, Philosopher Cards. Welcome back to the channel. Glad you're here. If you have ever seen my how to sell videos on TCG Player, you will not want to miss this video. In this video today, we're going to actually interview the founder of Cardmill, which is an available Kickstarter back project right now for a card sorting device. And this device really can help you maximize your time and the value out of your collection, or whether or not you're selling on TCG Player. It's priced at such a reasonable price point, even players that have tons of cards that are searching for commons and uncommons can make a lot of sense with this product. And I can't tell you enough, there's not enough time in a day to sort 1,000 cards every day. So purchasing a unit like this can really take your selling game to the next level and take your collecting game to the next level. I encourage you to check out the Kickstarter, listen to the video here with Jonathan, and at the end of the video, Jonathan and I will reveal a special discount for all the viewers of this channel where you can actually go and get a discount off of a Kickstarter bundle. So I'm very excited to have Jonathan here. I believe this card sorter has the opportunity to revolutionize the TCG industry, all the way from small players and collectors to even small size stores where a large sorter or a very expensive sorter doesn't make sense. So let's take a listen. All right, folks, we're here with Jonathan, the founder of Cardmill, and I'm so happy to have you on the channel today, Jonathan.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much, Steve, for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled upon, the Cardmill sorter on my Discord. One of my patrons, Scotty, to do a shout out, posted the Cardmill, and it took me a while to look at it, but when I finally did, I looked at it and I'm just like, this thing looks amazing. It's kind of like the sorter that I've been looking for. So yeah. I'm happy to have you here and hope to get into some questions for you.
We love all the questions. We love people connecting with us and engaging with us, trying to, find out all the information that they can about the Cardmill. So, I think, to share with your viewers, if anyone has any questions after they view this or viewing for any other information, hit me up, hit us up on Discord, on our website, on social media, wherever it is. We want to answer any and all, excuse me, any and all questions that anyone may have. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have the links to your Discord and website and Kickstarter in the description of the video too. So great. I guess tell me a little bit about the journey. I mean, I have watched some of your other interviews with some folks about, the creation of the Cardmill and the idea and inception, but, some of the viewers may not have seen some of your other interviews and such. And, how did it come to be? How did you build this thing?
So Cardmill has been something that I think that I've ultimately been working on probably for the past 30 years, since I started playing Magic back in the early 90s. And really it started as fun, kids game that me and my friends played. We actually had no idea how to play the game, by the way, as most people did.
I didn't either.
Didn't at that time. But it was fun,
we made up
right?
our own rules.
Exciting. Right. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll have a deck with 500 cards, no problem, but at some point I stepped away from Magic, stopped playing it for a bit, and then got back into it maybe about 15 years ago now with some of my friends at work. And over the time, I just fell back in love with the game and kept playing and playing, collecting cards, building decks. And the aha moment for me was when I do a lot of trading online, right? And I'm trading with people on Facebook, on other websites and stuff. And I was realizing that the process of getting my cards into some sort of an online inventory, or the process of giving people visibility into what I have, was extremely painful. And I'd be sitting there typing in the individual cards, or I use my phone and scan each individual card to put it in, and it was either not always accurate. I'd fat finger something, or the phone wouldn't be able to identify properly. So I said to myself, I'm like, there has to be a better way for this, right? And so I went online, I tried to find a card scanner, and that's really where Cardmill sort of started, was just a scanning device to be able to catalog and inventory someone's collection. And anything that I found out there was extremely expensive.
They are
thousands of dollars. Just to either lease or buy the machine, and then hundreds of dollars in recurring fees. And I'm like, I'm just a casual everyday player, a tech professional. I've been a software engineer my entire career. and building websites back back in high school. And I'm like, there was nothing out there that made sense for me. So I'm like, well, maybe I could just build something. And it just sort of started as like a little DIY project with some cardboard and Legos. I actually had started from an Instructables article that I found online. And, I bought a Raspberry Pi and
Oh yeah.
Legos. My son had Legos all over the place, so I went and I stole a bunch of his Lego pieces and got some other parts, right? And I just started putting everything together. Tons of research online, and being a software engineer, I felt that I can go in there and I can figure the code out, right? Hardware was something definitely new for me, but I'm like, I got this. I can figure this out. And so a couple months later, I had my first proof of concept. And from there, I'm like, well, this might actually be something that people would want,
Yeah.
right? So started talking to my connections, my friends, and people that I play with a lot. And I really found that there was a big need for something like this. And a lot of people were struggling from the same challenges that I had with getting their collection online. Most of the people I know don't even bother with either sorting, much less scanning their commons and uncommons, right? And I reach up like, hey, do you have whatever common uncommon card? And he's like, I have no idea. You can come look through my cards if you want. And so I set off to build Cardmill, and I partnered with an industrial designer and a mechatronics engineer who could take my vision and really build the product. And 2 years later, here we are, and we
Two
launched our
years. Yeah.
Kickstarter. 2 years, yep.
Wow.
Launched our Kickstarter about just over a week ago now, and successful in the first. We hit our goal in the first 24 minutes. We hit $800,000 in pledges after in less than 24 hours.
Wow.
And we've broken that $1 million
1
line
million.
just the other day. Yeah, so 1
Yeah.
million and funding and
Congratulations.
pledging. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a wild ride, and it's been super exciting. But the really cool part about it all is that we've gotten to this level that we're at now right now with our Kickstarter pledges. We met with our engineering team the other day, and we're no longer talking about, okay, what parts of this are going to be 3D printed versus injection molded. Now it's like everything's going to be injection molded.
Yeah.
We have access to so much better quality material, and it's exciting because the card mill itself is going to be that much better. So we're very jazzed for the end of this Kickstarter in the next few months before we actually start getting the units out to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, two parts I want to dive into what you just said there. The one about all the time it takes around commons and uncommons. And that's
Mhm.
something that on my channel in the how to sell on TCG Player series, I talk about. I probably talked about it in the intro in this video a little bit, where you as a person only have so much time. And for
Yeah.
example, for me, I'm cracking boxes. I'm selling on TCG Player. I'm on Discord building communities. I'm out here doing content. I'm doing all these other things. At some point, anything under $1, when I break, I'm like, okay, this, boom, it's sorted, it's done, because I run out of time. And this I see as a huge opportunity for folks to be able to gain access to, we'll call, lower price tiers of value. And
Oh, absolutely.
I truly believe that your machine could be revolutionary for the TCG industry, because you're putting these machines in the hands of people. You don't have to pay $20,000 for a Roka. You don't have to pay $700 a month for the Roka service fee. And all those other sorters, and trust me, I've done a lot of research on sorters in the past. I should have actually done a video in the past on sorters, but I was so frustrated by it, I was like, I'm not doing it. There's so many other sorters.
You and everyone else, right?
Yeah, that break all the time, that they're very expensive, very high maintenance fees, very high service fees. Right. So what's your take on the payback of the device? So if you're a collector, if you're a player, if you're a seller on TCG Player, how soon do you think you could reach payback instead of having to buy those 10-cent cards on TCG Player? You could find them. I mean, I want to talk about the payback and, think of this as an investment, everybody out there who's watching. This is an investment to say, if I spend this money today, I think it will return that much money in the future and then some. And I believe it will. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, then there's so much to unpack there, right? Because for you as someone who's sitting there breaking, your part of your livelihood is dependent on the success of the cards that you're cracking and breaking and
Yeah.
selling, right? And then it's important that I don't want to disparage the other products that are out there, because they're great and they serve a very valuable purpose. It's just a different market, and
it's a different market. Yeah.
Right. They've missed the mark with the everyday players and collectors, right?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing available for all of us. So I build decks all the time, and I'm sitting there constantly building my decks, and I'm always looking for cards, and I always go and look, and it's a lot of times I would be like, what, I'll go buy that 10-cent card, I'll pay the $1 in shipping just so that I don't have to spend here hours trying to figure out and find the card.
Yeah.
And for me, that that's easy, but it also doesn't make any sense. And for someone like you who's breaking a lot of cards, you've got tons and tons of commons and uncommons. So we did hit a stretch goal the other day that you can start sorting by price as well, up to 5 different tiers. So you'll be able to set those different tiers that you want to use in the touchscreen, and then you can turn it on. So you go and you break a box, you load all of your cards in from that box, and we'll sort them out for you, and we'll organize them for you. So now, and we'll tell you about the real TCG pricing for those cards, and now you can toss all of those cards up. There's tons of people out there that are set collectors, for instance, that want to collect all the commons and uncommons that are out there. So the value, I think, comes not only for sellers, right? But I also think that it comes for the buyers or people that are creating decks and being able to really have a clear understanding of the cards they do have in their collection. Right. And this is an extreme, but, imagine if you're going through and sorting your cards, and you're like, oh, there's a Ristic Study, right?
Yeah.
That was an uncommon,
that's not that extreme. That happens over here a lot. It happens.
It does, right? And what was it? Fatal Push a number of years, a few years back, right? What was that? Eldritch Moon, I think, or somewhere around that. I forget the exact set, but that was what, like a $10 common at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, if they're not, sitting there and checking the price of everything, they might not know that. But now they'll have access to that and have visibility into that. So, it's set it and forget it. Put your cards in, have it scan, let it do its thing. And for you specifically, or any other breakers, they could open a box, load them. It can be sorting those cards while you're doing your next show, and then saves time for you to focus on doing your show, and you don't have to worry about some of the nuances with card sorting.
Yeah, and just so folks understand, if you haven't gone out to the Kickstarter and watched some of the videos, I mean, the sorting isn't light speed, right? But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, because this is something where I might only have 30 minutes to do sorting, and I have to sort quickly. This machine can sort all day long, right? And this thing never has to have a break. It never can. You can put a big stack of 500 cards or more now. 500?
So you can put 300 in the main hopper, and then with an extender, you can add another 500. So a total of 800 cards.
800. Okay, yeah, 800 total cards. And you go to bed, and you come and you wake up in the morning, and it's like you have your prices sorted, or you could have it by alphabetical, I believe, right? Alphabetical sets. How does the pricing work within, will you use live TCG Player pricing? Like, how are you doing that?
Yeah, so for day one, we're looking at the real-time market value of of the card, assuming a near mint value. In future iterations or future software updates, we may introduce a condition selection. So if you know that all of these
Mm,
cards are, let's just say, lightly played or damaged or whatnot, we can let you set that. But for day one, it's just going to assume that all the cards that you're putting into it are near mint value.
yeah, yeah.
And while you're sorting it, right? I mean, some if a bin gets full or if a slot in the bin gets full, it'll stop and it'll say, "Hey, I need you to empty this," right? But within the context of a single set, which I think at the beginning, a lot of people are going to go and they're going to be putting all of their inventory into the system, and they're going to be scanning and sorting, for a while, right? But on an ongoing basis, as people are just buying like a box here and there, it's really should be able to hold most, if not all, of the cards that come out of those boxes. So yeah, so like you said, you can load your cards in and go do something else, go have dinner, I mean, go to bed if you want, right, and come back. And if the machine can't continue its job, it's just going to stop and it's just going to hang out and wait for you to do something. So it's not like it's going to sit there and like, damage your cards and try to force them in. It's just going to say, nope, I can't do anything right now. So it's just going to chill out for a bit.
Yeah, and the real fascinating thing to this, and where I believe it could revolutionize, the industry to a bit, never before has there been a card sorter that has made sense for players or even
Right.
like small collectors. Like you only
Right.
ever see these card sorter machines at large stores. Many even small stores don't even have
Yeah.
a sorter. So
Right. Because it's expensive.
it's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I want to be clear, like, I mean, it's going to be expensive for me to maintain the system. We're budgeted, through the next 12, 18 months as well, post Kickstarter. We're covering the costs of the AI recognition model. We're covering all of the costs for this. We're not putting it back on the backers. And the from day one when I saw, started thinking about Cardmill, I'm like, I want to build a machine. I want to provide a machine that's really usable and useful, for that matter, to the everyday collector and player.
Yeah.
I'm not looking here to price gouge anyone and charge exorbitant fees. And it's like we're in a technological age where there are a lot of ways that we can reduce the bloat, is maybe the best way to put it,
Yeah.
and therefore reduce the cost of a lot of stuff. So we're doing a lot of that upfront,
Yeah.
but we are also covering the fees of doing all the AI processing, the server costs, for the next 12, 18 months.
Yeah.
And over that time, we're going to have a lot more, we're going to have more sales, more products, more other things, right, that we're going to do to help offset some of that. But yeah, our commitment, and we're excited to be able to do that, especially at this point. But we're very excited for the Kickstarter backers to say, like, the machine that you get, you're going to get software updates. You're going to be able to scan your cards in. Anytime we add a new set, it's available to you, and it's not going to cost them anymore. It's one fee, buy the machine, and you're off to the races.
With that, there's I told the folks on my Discord we'd be talking, and a lot of folks in my Patreon chat have sent through some questions, and I know one really interesting question that a lot of folks may also be wondering, kind of along this topic, is if there's no fee for any service or anything like that, how will you fund the hosting model, into the future? Because hosting all of that software, it isn't free. And,
Right.
I guess a lot of folks are wondering, how does that look? Do you just feel there's so much market opportunity for the device that you'll constantly have unit sales, or how does that look?
Yeah, so a little bit of that, as well as we in as I said, I've been a software developer my entire career. I've been a tech professional, running infrastructure programs, running software engineering teams, and I'm very heavily integrated into the cloud computing space. And And you're right, there's a lot of fees that come with it, everything from, hosting my databases to the web application to all of the functions and processes, all the ancillary services that help to feed and power this beast, right, that we're building. And we're covering the cost for all of that. So all of
Yeah.
that, all of the AI modeling, all of the storage. Now we're so the our commitment and our promise is that all the core features of the card mill are going to be no cost to anyone. That includes scanning their cards into an online inventory and access to a web portal to access it. It includes sorting all of their cards for all of the sorting parameters that we have. But in the future, there may be other services that we offer that will be paid, right? But they're not required, right? Those will be things that if someone wants to do I don't even know. We don't even have a plan for one of these right now, but there will be things that will look to be able to help sustain the company into the long term. And
Yeah.
we do also believe that there will be enough demand post Kickstarter for the machines that will be able to help support and fund some of the growth of the company, and or into new products that we might come out with and have ideas for. So we're not done just at the Kickstarter. Our plan is to build a business out of this, build more products, give trading card collectors really the tools that they need. And it's also wild, the at least Magic the Gathering alone. I mean, we're talking what, like 35, 38 million players in the
Yeah.
United States alone, right?
Huge.
It's a huge market. And we've had somewhat of a limited budget, right, with advertising, but it's been successful. But we're going to try to reach more and more players and more people. And we believe that as soon as people start getting the devices in hand and start using them, there's going to be another wave of excitement, and people are like, oh, wow, this actually really does work. Eventually, we'll go international as well, but we're focused on the U.S. market for day one right now, and we have a lot of product ideas that we want to provide to people that will ultimately help to sustain the company and the business and ensure our longevity.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I think there'd be a lot of appetite for different types of services that you could add on and
Right,
products too. One other question,
right.
the machine's not even out yet, and I already have questions about, is it hackable? I think some folks are thinking, hey, I'm a software developer too, and I
Yeah,
really like, I don't know, I like Guardians TCG, I like Hyborian Gates. These are old dead
mhm,
TCGs, and somebody
yeah.
might crack a case of Hyborian Gates and say, you know what, I'm gonna try to get my own scanning update in it, and I can try to scan Hyborian Gates. What's your take on that, or that if folks would have an interest in doing something like that?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of desire for people to be able to sideload different trading card games or different TCGs into the system, and it's something that we will explore. I'm making no commitments to it, of course, but we do think that there could be a good opportunity to give people tools to load in their random games that they might have decided, right. Maybe we have and I'm just spitballing again, no commitments, but maybe there's some sort of a marketplace where people could download different bundles that they could then download to their device that would allow them to do something, right. Maybe there's a marketplace of these developers that build
Yeah,
in the software for some of these other trading cards. I don't know
yeah,
what that exactly looks like. We've got so much on our plate as it is, just fulfilling what we've committed to so far, and we want to make sure that we don't overexert ourselves so that we can really focus on the core idea and the core product. But
yeah.
we do have a Discord, and we encourage everyone to join our Discord. And there's a threads page, which I think I'm going to have to change into a forum at this point, but there's a thread right now, or a page where you can start a new thread and provide any feature ideas. That is something that is there and has been requested by quite a number of people. So it's something that will give it the attention it deserves when we have a moment to breathe. So our first focus right now, of course, is getting the product out there as we've promised to everyone, and getting it out well, essentially.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess along those lines too. Let's say, I don't know, some of the parts wear out, or the life of the rollers fail. One thing I've noticed in other card sorters is the constant need for maintenance, because some of them use vacuum suction, some of them
Mhm.
use slides, there's multiple different ways that they've been done, but they all require, even those little pumps, even in the Roca, I think
Yeah,
are pretty, you got
yeah,
to maintain them all the time. Well,
yeah.
how maintained, how much maintenance do you feel that your system needs, and how do you go about maintaining it if something happens?
Yeah, so the machine will have a way to open up so that someone could get in if they need to do any maintenance. So that's going to include, like, the lens on the camera on the inside. Maybe if you're in a very dusty house, maybe dust covering the lights or something, right? Or getting trapped with the rollers or the belt. So all of that is going to be accessible by the end user, and they'll be able to get in there, make changes. Now, from a support perspective, we will offer support in a variety of ways, whether it's from online videos or tutorials. And if there are parts that need to be replaced, we will, or if there's or something's not working, we'll try to resolve it remotely with the device owner if they want. If they don't want to do that, if they don't want to deal with trying to resolve it remotely, we'll have a path to send units in to us to be able to work through a repair. But if there are parts, we'll also offer parts that need to replace them. We'll offer parts for individuals to either purchase, or we'll provide them if there is a known defect to them. Obviously, if there's a defect for it, we'll replace it at no cost. But there'll be items and some of those parts available for individuals through some sort of a support portal. But I guess also to answer your question, yeah, the things like the rollers and the belts and access to all that will be available for the device owner so that they can maintain their device. We haven't had a lot of we haven't had too many issues. I'm not saying everything is flawless, right? But we haven't had experience issues with, like, the rollers or the movement mechanisms. But they're like any parts that have potential for wear or damage that might need to be cleaned. Well, they'll have access to that, and they'll be path to be able to replace all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the folks viewing can see the images of the machine above,
Mhm.
and the real amazing thing, and we'll call it, artfully simplistic, is that you really leverage gravity, right? So, like, you
Yeah,
see a lot of
right.
sorters are anti-gravity. We're lifting and moving
Right.
and doing. You have the weight on the hopper. I saw comes down, sits on side it. The card slides over. The image is taken, and then the machine, moves to let the cards slide. It to me, it feels like, in that type of a setup, there's less opportunity for catastrophic failure. So
Yeah.
that was
So
actually one of the things when I watched the videos, because again, I was like, I saw it on my Discord and I was like, okay. And then somebody else mentioned it and I opened it up and I saw the video and I was like, wow, this thing actually works. And because
yeah,
sometimes it's like a Rube Goldberg machine, some of these sorters, where it's
yeah.
just like,
It's doing
yeah,
so much. Yeah,
yeah,
simplicity was definitely key
simplicity,
for us, and
yeah,
simplicity, and also there's minimal touch to the cards at any given time.
yeah,
The card safety was very important since day one,
yeah,
and so as you were mentioning, as the cards are moving, there's really one point where the card gets pushed from the hopper into the chamber. And then from there, it's really we're just gliding the card and then gently, letting gravity place it into the tray, and we're moving the tray into its position versus moving the card into a position.
yeah.
So we move the tray, and the trays are also lined with a soft felt to be able to cushion them from when they're falling into the trays as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize the trays had felt. Um,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
saw the.
otherwise they're plastic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so we have to put a little bit of felt in there to just protect them as they're falling out of the chamber into the discharge trays.
Yeah, I saw the video too. You did sort of Black Lotus,
Yeah,
and with
that was
that,
fun.
yeah, it was. I was like, oh man, but like I said, it just feels like there's not a lot of opportunity for damage. With that,
Yeah.
one of the questions on my Discord has been, we're with the understanding that Scryfall was the place you went in order to gain the images for Magic cards, and there's a little
Mhm.
bit of trouble with 2001 and prior, just with the quality of
Right.
images on Scryfall. There was some questions surrounding accuracy and such for the older Magic sets. Just if you want to talk a little bit about that and just some thoughts
Yeah.
on where images come from, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, of course. So so when we scanned in the Unlimited Black Lotus, the Time Walk, and the OG Duels, those all cataloged correctly, right? Those are the really, really old cards. But access, so the information that the AI uses to be able to help do card identification stretches beyond just the image of the card. It analyzes, the fonts, it analyzes the text,
Oh wow.
or I'm sorry, the fonts, it analyzes, different symbols that are on there, as well as the actual, picture itself. So it uses a combination of different elements of the card to be able to help identify it. So the Scryfall images is, while they're an important part of it, it's not the only part of it. There's also, all the data and the historical information of the cards. But what's also really cool about these AI models is that it uses commonalities between different cards to be able to build a confidence level that, this card is in fact the card that it's reporting that it is. And it's been wildly accurate. Like we're like 85+% on, most cards that we've been scanning in. Um, and I'll also say that, I am I've been a software engineer and a web developer, my whole, career. And if anyone ever asked me, I will always respond if we need to do more testing.
Yeah.
If anyone ever says, have you tested enough? The default is no.
Yeah.
I don't care how good the product is. And so that's one of the things that, I there's not enough hours in the day for me to keep testing. And but which is why one of the things we're going to do is we're going to work with some outside individuals. So there's going to be a period before we start shipping out and doing our final production run, where we're going to have units in the hands of different people in the various communities, right? And we're going to have them test the device as well, on their own. So kind of, like a big sort of a user acceptance testing
Yeah.
phase before we do the final production run. And that's going to give us a lot of information on, where we need to tweak, if anything, and, ensuring that the product is really, up to par with what the our backers are expecting. But of course, back to the AI, the information like I said, goes beyond just the image that we're trying to analyze.
Yeah.
And so that gives us a little bit more flexibility and breadth with some of the concerns around those pre-2001 cards.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And with that too, there's some Pokemon has, a lot of the old sets, they use the same art. The cards look the same except the little symbols and
Yeah.
such. It sounds
Right.
though like the AI model may be able to pick up on some of those subtleties from the different sets.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, it's like the secret sauce over there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and again, we need to keep testing it, and
Yeah.
we need to go and get some of those, more unique cards. I myself have been a Magic player, for, like I said, for 15 years, so I don't have as many cards in, various sets, but I do have boxes and boxes of cards across all of the different trading cards that, we're supporting now. And we're going to secure a lot more. Some people are we're going to buy some, in from various locations, and some people are, sharing cards with us as well to, be able to help test with. And really, it's just there's going to be a ton of testing. We're even going to do at one point, when we get a little bit further along, but we're going to do a 24-hour live stream
Oh
of
wow.
we're going to I know.
I
I'm
love it.
scared to say it because I'm committing myself. But yeah, I'm gonna have a bunch of machines, right next to each other, and for 24 hours, we're just gonna be loading and sorting. I mean, at some point, I'm gonna stop and eat, right? But
Yeah,
that's and it's gonna be a live stream. We'll stream it on like Facebook and Twitch or YouTube, right? Wherever we
sounds
can.
great.
So I'll have to figure it out. So there will be some opportunities for the community to see things, live as it's happening, and it's going to be ever evolving. I do expect that there's going to be some individuals that are like, "Hey, this card was misidentified." It's like, okay, sorry about that. We'll go and we'll have a conversation with the AI.
Yeah,
But things like that, and it's going to be an ever evolving work in progress.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. To pivot a little bit, a lot of folks just had I myself too. I mean, I visit the Discord. On your Discord, there's a lot of excited people, right? There, the excitement is through the roof, and a lot of people have a lot of desires for a lot of different things. And I think the machine's capable of doing almost, a lot of them at the very minimum. But
Right.
do you have a roadmap, or you're in software, so you always have the salesman that comes in and says, "Oh yeah, we can do all of it," and then the software developer comes in and is like, "Well, we can do like this much." So how do you manage those expectations, and what's your roadmap for new products? I mean, me wanting sorcery too, is another aspect. So yeah, what would you say to that?
Yep. So sorcery has definitely been one of the most requested TCGs, and really, when it comes to identifying what games that or trading cards we're going to load on the system, it's really going to be community driven.
Yeah,
So we have the course. We have 6 or 7 now that I think we're supporting out of the gate. Magic Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Blood, Star Wars Unlimited, Disney Lorcana, and I'm expecting that we'll also be able to commit to One Piece here in about a week or two, just as we get caught up on all the Kickstarter stuff. So the next things that we're going to do is we have a list of about 8 or 9 different trading card games that are some of the most requested, and Sorcery is in there.
it's exciting.
And we're going to work with the community, just be like, what do you guys want? Like, what's the priority? And we're going to prioritize our games based off what the community needs. Eventually, we hope that we can support, ultimately everything, right? It'd be great if the AI could get smart enough where we could just be like, hey, there's this new game that's coming out next week. Go learn it, and
Yeah,
then it learns it. We get the cards, and it works, right? Someday we'll get there,
someday.
but
Yeah, yeah,
for now, the we'll train it based off of community requests. So on the Discord, there is the TCG requests channel, and in there is where we're, like I said, we're gonna run different polls and figure out who wants what. But I will say that Sorcery is at the top of the list, as it's been one of the most requested games pretty much
yeah.
everywhere that we've been hearing. So yeah,
Yeah, I hear you may need some sorcery cards too. So I am more than
indeed.
happy to send you a playset of ordinary, exceptional, and as many elite as I can if you're interested.
Fantastic. Yes, we should definitely make that happen. Yeah, I'm wondering. I wonder if I have my wife's at some point going to ask me to probably put the cards somewhere else, because I'm going to just flood our basement with
with
trading
cards.
card games here in a little bit.
I'd love
Yeah,
to
I
send
mean,
you
I'm
some.
excited for it. Yeah,
Absolutely, you
great.
get to see all this stuff coming in. I'll send you some of those.
Yeah,
I'd like to send you another game that's new and up and coming, Shard Bugs TCG. I'll send
okay,
you a splat box of that as well, just to kind
great,
of see your
awesome.
take on it. So
Yeah, no, absolutely love that. Not familiar with that game myself, but it's excited. That's the other cool thing about this, is that we can learn and expand to all of these trading card, different games.
yeah,
I mean, what if someone who's using the machine, is they're going through and they're like, oh, selecting how they want the machine to, what sort they want to do, right? Because one of the options is you're going to have to select the game, because it cuts, like maybe about half a second off of some of the processing time if you pre-select the game. So you'll select the game that you want to do, and
Can you
then
pre-select the set too?
um no, but we can consider that.
Yeah.
That that would probably make things a lot fast, even more faster, right?
Yeah, because
To be able to provide those added things. Yeah, I actually hadn't considered that, so thank you for that.
yeah, there's a lot of folks I know, even in
Right.
Sorcery and Magic, we do a lot of everything's preset by or pre-sorted by set, so that'll even
Yeah.
help reduce some of the errors too if it's
Yeah.
a set pre-sortable.
Absolutely. Well, and I could even see, like when cards get reprinted in sets, right? If you open a box and you
Right,
know that like these cards are from this set,
right,
then we'd focus everything and be like, there's a lot less opportunity for failure, right?
right.
How many negates have been printed in the history
Yeah,
of Magic, right? I
yeah,
think this year alone there have been like 90 versions of it.
yeah.
Um,
Counterspell.
so yeah, exactly right. And so I love that idea. So I'll write it down on our feature list, but put on our board because I think that that's something that would be super powerful.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but what I was going to say though is
yeah,
that as someone's going and selecting how they're doing their sword, they go through and they see all these new games and like can you just imagine like someone's like, oh, this game sounds cool, or I want to check out this game, and now like maybe that's an opportunity for someone that's going to go and start picking up a different game or trying something else out. I don't know if that'll happen, but it could be cool to that's an ultimate story that happens one day.
I go on CCG Trader sometimes because I collect some of
Yeah,
the old trading cards, and I'll go on
yeah,
there and look around and do what you described. So sometimes I'm out there and I'm just looking through different old games and like, oh, I didn't even know about that one. Let me check that out.
yeah.
So
Or like what if there's some game that you find you're like, oh man, I played this game as a kid and I totally forgot about it.
yeah,
The nostalgia from that. That's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people an opportunity to really connect with their love of whatever game it is,
yeah,
and that can be from organizing collections to sorting collections to really knowing what's in your collection.
yeah.
And there's a lot of really cool opportunities for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even me too. Like, from a collection perspective, I'd love to be able to just have a catalog of what's in my collection. Ultimately, I'd
Yeah.
probably start on, selling off what I intended to sell, and then once that machine's freed up, it's gonna it's gonna be running full speed on
Yeah. Yeah.
just my
Yeah.
collection. So
Right. Right.
I'm excited.
Well,
I think,
and that's exciting. Yeah.
yeah,
This isn't the only time that you guys can ask questions. So if anyone in your Discord's like, hey, can you find out about XYZ,
yeah,
just hit me up, and I'm happy to. I love talking and connecting to people. Other people in my somewhat immediate circle have been like, hey, you don't have to respond to everything, right? And I'm
yeah,
like, no, I kind of feel like I need to, right?
yeah,
Because we're trying to build a product that is really for the community, and whatever community that is, whatever game that is, right? And I want people to feel that we see them, we hear them, right?
yeah,
We're part of them. That's why I love having these conversations. I was telling you earlier that you reached out to me. I think like within 5 minutes we had this interview schedule,
yeah.
right? And I told my wife, I'm like, oh, I'm talking to so and so, and she's like, oh, what's that? I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. It was quick setup, right? I love talking about the games because really like for me, Magic is where I've made some of my most important relationships,
Yeah.
and some of my best friends. And we have conversations that go beyond just like, okay, what cool cards came out in Edge of Eternities or Final Fantasy, right? We talk about our kids, we talk about our families, we talk about our lives, and it's cool to have that kind of relationship with people and really connect like that. So if we can bring a tool that helps to encourage more of that connectivity to their game that they're passionate about, I feel like it's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I like I said, I truly believe that this could revolutionize TCGs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you do actually have a special deal for the viewers here
Yeah.
today as well. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the video before you came on, where you're actually giving a discount off of the the heavy bundle at $50 off if you go to cardmill.com/philosophercards. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit. That's open to everyone. Anyone who sees this video, you can go out and click on it. We really wanted that heavy bundle because, a lot of the viewers here are really, they're going to want the bigger hopper. They're going to want all of those other things. I know I do. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, absolutely. So the heavy hitter bundle is really intended for those individuals that are really passionate about card collecting and really have a lot. So so in that bundle you get 2 of every tray, and then you get a card column, you get a hopper extender, you get the sorting mat, you get perfect fit sleeves, you get card dividers for when you're actually sorting putting your physical cards away, you get the Cardmill, all at that discount, right? And it's really like you said, I mean, it's for all of your viewers, anyone that sees it. If there's anyone that has already backed, they can update their pledge to the new bundle that we created. And like, as I keep saying, right, we really want to get this out into the hands of everyone in the community. So any bit that we can do to be able to help facilitate that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, the link will be in the description for the deal as well. And you did spawn one more question from me, unfortunately. I do remember, and I thought this as I was backing. I saw the perfect fit sleeves. Does the machine have the ability to scan sleeved cards?
So perfect fit sleeves, yes.
Wow.
Traditional sleeves, no.
Yeah.
So it's all about the size and the thickness and the different sheen. So the perfect fit sleeves, they hug the cards, right? And they really provide a tight grip to them, which is why we're able to support them. But other sleeves, they're more loose, they're bigger and wider. We can't design for everything, right?
No.
Maybe a future version of this will, but for now, like, it's either unsleeved or perfect fit will go through the machine.
I'm not aware of any machine that can scan a perfect fit sleeve card, unless I'm mistaken. There's been issues in the past, I think, with the camera and lighting, with the shine of perfect fit, just even sleeves over it, as well as the ability for the mechanics to move the cards. So the fact your machine can do that is pretty amazing. I don't even think the Roca can do a perfect fit. I could be wrong. I could be. Yeah.
Right. I've done no research on that. All I know is that I've run perfect fit sleeves through them, and cards in perfect fit sleeves, and they've been working fine.
Yeah, comment below, anyone, if you know that to be true or false, or any details on that. I'd be very interested, because I saw that as a part of your kit and I thought, wow, can that actually handle sleeves? But no, thank you again for the viewers for that deal. I would strongly encourage anyone who has ever been interested in a sorter, now is the time to go out and check this out. At the very least, you got to go out, click on the link, watch the videos, read the materials, because it's and then you can decide, but you want to make sure you get the information. Well, this is something you definitely want to consider backing. So.
Right. And there's some videos online on our YouTube channel to show the usage, or processing, the Black Lotus and stuff, and we have some shots to show how the machine is moving it on the inside. So if anyone's apprehensive or has any questions about what the machine is actually doing, I encourage you to check out that video specifically, because it shows more detail about how cards are actually moving through the system, and I think that it could provide a lot of good information for everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As a final close, is there anything that you'd like to tell the folks as a close, or to let folks know that we might not have discussed here?
I think that the big thing is really that we're just so grateful for the community's support and engagement and ability to helping us bring this product really to all of us. It's we're hoping that Cardmill becomes a mainstay and commonplace in every trading card collector's home, And we're just so grateful and over the moon excited for what's to come over the next few months. So thank you.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for being here today. Thank you for the bundle deal again and answering a slew of questions here. This was incredibly informative. I mean, I can't thank you enough.
Of course. Yep. Thank you so much.
Best of luck to you in the Kickstarter. I hope it really goes through the moon, because this is a heck of a product. So thank you again, Jonathan.
Of course. Take care.
Yeah, you as well.
Digital age we're living in, treasures hidden in the packs we win, pictures on cardboard thin, fighting scalpers till the end. Holograms that shine so bright, sample packs just drop from sight. In the shuffle I can't win, every pack is cursed with sin. I'm trying to preserve history, in these cards contain my prophet destiny. I refuse to let them win, the time for scalpers now must end. I'm trying to preserve